Hello, hello. Hey, Sinistello. I get that via my phone. It didn't even show up for me. Weird. Maybe you never got it. Anyway, we spent all this morning doing some game design stuff, and we're just going to pick up where we left off, which is answering all of these questions. So the most important ones were around ascensions and duplicate adventurers. So let's go figure those out, I guess. Where's that? I'm hoping this doesn't take forever. I really hope we can make some good progress in the next 3 hours. Where are the thing about duplicates? Ugh. There's too many lines for me to find it. Schrodinger's, thanks for the resub. Happy 1 year anniversary. How has your year been here? Have you enjoyed it? Yeah, so that's where this one is. Cooldowns randomized or anything? I don't think that's needed. Come on, it can't be that hard to find this. Here it is. How much do we want to change the battle system? Should locations be changed? Okay, so let's bump that to the top two. All right, those are the top two questions. So those are the ones we're going to answer. Let's start with this one. So how much do we want to change the battle system? Should adventurers be randomized? So loot will be randomized at locations. I don't think we have to change the battles very much. Yeah, I don't think we have to. So copies of adventurers. I like the idea. And hopefully it won't be too hard to allow in practice. But it does represent extra coding time. Deep into AI pair programming, using it with my tool set to prototype a quantum version of Tetris now. Wow, neat. I remember seeing a quantum version of chess that apparently took forever. This is years ago, though. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. Yeah, I like the idea. So should we steer ourselves toward the idea of this? And then I guess this is separate. We should put that as another question still. Consumables and battling. I think that can be done on top of this maybe, but I don't know if we need extra input or changes to the battle mechanics. But it is something we can consider. Oh, wait. Schrodinger's, that was you? Yeah, I remember there being some like the turns lasted a very long time, or maybe it was computation time that took a long time. Did you have a different name before? Now I'm wondering, am I like... You didn't. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is all flooding back to me. We had a set of like Discord DMs going. Yeah. And I remember this went back to like the Botland days. Man, I haven't thought about it in a long time. We're about to release mobile. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing you've seen an old acquaintance of mine in real life made a game. What was it called? It might have been called Quantum Chess, but it was on Steam. No, Fifth Dimensional Chess or something like that. 5-dimensional chess. 5D chess. Yeah, this one. Yeah, have you seen this game? I haven't actually played this game, but yeah. Anyway, a wild game dev. Hi, and it's going well. It's going well. We've made some good progress today. It's a Google project. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was gonna say on a classical computer, I guess those sorts of things are very different. You probably want a quantum computer for a quantum task. Haven't played it. Quantum chess on Steam is mine. Gotcha. I see. Wow. Why are the reviews mixed? Well, that's too bad. Well, it doesn't sound like the dev's given up. Yeah. Yeah, well, cool. Yeah, I can't believe I just forgot about that completely. I mean, I remember the game, of course, and then as you mentioned this, I started remembering pictures of when you shared this stuff with me. Wow, crazy how time flies. Okay, so are there any downsides to this? What are the pros and cons, I guess? Pros and cons. So pros, there are a lot more builds if you can have duplicates, since a party of 4 could be, yeah. And more builds means more freedom. Cons, it's more to code. It's maybe harder to differentiate between your adventurers. Let's slate it to be done. I know there's some difficulty with this, and I've tried this in the past. Anytime we have a dictionary of adventurer classes, we now can't have a dictionary of adventurer classes because the classes are not unique. So we need some identifier for adventurers. And I don't know if it's worth doing. A lot of early negative reviews because of bad AI player. We fixed that. Haven't promoted a new version yet. Wow, cool. Yeah. People who buy those kinds of games that sort of are in the dark for a while and then come back, I think are usually pretty happy to see updates. And I think you get a visibility bump when you post a major update on Steam. So yeah, I hope that stuff turns around. Quite the dedication. IDs like mage number 3 or warrior number 4. Sort of. I was talking about from a code perspective, so they could be like just a number. It could be like adventurer 47, and then happens to be mage number 1, and adventurer 48 happens to be warrior number 3 or something like that. But yeah, we would need to make that change. I think this is worth doing, but this could be like an add-on thing that we do later. But yeah. And then the treasure room would become interesting. Treasure room is more interesting if you're affecting many adventurers at once. I wonder, having randomized skills makes the adventurers slightly more interesting. They'd all have the same stats though. Also, wouldn't this make it, actually, wait a second, maybe this is a bad idea. Doesn't this make it so that if you have the treasure room, won't it always be better? It would, yeah, pretty much always be better to get another adventurer, to get a duplicate adventurer, so that you're leveling them both up. I think we just don't do this then for the coding aspect of it. It's more to code. You could end up with terrible builds, e.g. 3 clerics. Yeah, I don't think we do this. And I think the biggest thing that we have is this. It's kind of cutting out some decision making. And then the second biggest reason is that it's more to code. These 2 reasons are huge. Party of only paladins would be funny. It would be. I think there are some fun things that it opens up. Like, this is definitely the biggest pro here. You get more builds. But yeah, I think we at least V1 is not going to allow duplicates. All right, let's write that down in the design. Hire adventurers and hiring offered a choice between this. Okay, and then we don't allow for duplicate adventurers. Ari, when to purchase. No duplicates. The biggest 2 reasons, or I guess the 2 biggest reasons for not allowing for dupes are the coding time to make it work and the fact that the treasure room would always steer you toward adventurers you already have. It just cuts out a decision in an unfun way. Yeah, there are different ways I think I'd want to do this. Like, there's just not that much of a difference between, let's say, the archer and the mage right now. I'm not even totally sure how you'll make the decision to get one class over another. Pros, it would let you end up with more healers slash tanks than is normally possible. Actually, I'll write this as a neutral thing. I'm not even sure this is good. This may or may not be a good thing. It's probably not a good thing. I'm inclined to say it's bad since time is of the essence in challenge mode. And all characters can do damage. Yeah. All right, well, that answers that. What else do we have here? Yep, that's it. Okay. Next question. Should locations be changed? We could allow for locations to be unlocked randomly, but that wouldn't help you if you couldn't actually beat the locations. If they're not changed, you probably settle in the same general, I didn't even finish writing this, same general pattern as the base game. So loot is randomized per location. The monsters don't really have to be, since your adventurers are randomized. They could be. They could be changed based on the difficulty of the game. They could be like tankier bats or something. Or like the forest starts having one volcano bat instead of one forest bat. Plus later difficulties could change the monsters in some way. I think my answer to this is that it shouldn't change. Again, it's more to code. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So I think we'll keep those things the same. Battle maps / locations. These will work the same way they do in the base game. Rationale, it's just not worth coding something new when there are so many other random aspects that will be introduced in challenge mode. Plus, later difficulties could change which enemies you're fighting. Okay, yeah. We could make a difficulty modifier that says fish fight back. Okay, what's the next question? Difficulty. How difficult do we want to make the game, especially given that it starts as a casual turn your brain off game, especially that it being Skeleseller? How do we put some kind of pressure or time limit on this? What do we do about ascensions? Okay, so let's copy all this over. So how difficult do we want this to be? I think there's got to be some scalable difficulty. There has to be some concept of scalable difficulty. And there are different ways we could do this. I wrote there was like an ascension system like Slay, where each level adds another small bump in difficulty and they all stack. There is a heat system like Hades, where you choose how you want the game to get harder. And you need to hit a certain threshold for it to be a totally new game. Or totally like a higher difficulty. Or something else. Like random set of X negative qualities. So here are my thoughts. If you can choose, then balancing is going to be really hard. The choice is essentially what is the least difficult / constraining of these negative options. If it's random, then there's a lot to familiarize yourself with every time you start a new run. So I'm leaning toward an ascension style system where we just say what the different things are, and you're basically climbing this ladder of a bunch of different difficult things. Yeah, I think I want to do that. Alternatively, it doesn't have to be cumulative. We could have like bundles of challenges or side grades. Imagine level 15 is a set of 15 bad things. We could have a different set of 5 really bad things that you could try instead. Right? It's not like that's forbidden in the system. Would you need to define the ladder? Yeah, I would. In fact, this is what we could do for all of them. Ooh, I didn't think about that. Maybe we do this sort of thing for all of them, and there's a sandbox mode within this. So like challenge number 1 could be just the basic game, no real modifiers. Challenge number 2, and these are not necessarily in order. These aren't in order of difficulty or anything. Challenge number 2 could be something like minus 10% income, enemies are harder. Challenge 3 could be something like the farm crops are worth less. The pond or fish are worth less. Not worthless, worth less. And so on and so forth, right? We just keep coming up with what these challenges are. And then one of these could be a sandbox mode. You pick all of the modifiers. And it could be things like no time limit if you really wanted. So you're basically just playing the base game, but now you have maybe even more income. Positive modifiers. So this is the other thing I could see being interesting here. There's some set of predefined challenges. They're not additive, although we can make whatever bundling of this that we want. So is that interesting? Is this more interesting than just a ladder? I think you'd want to know what the general difficulty level is. So we need to qualify this. We need to say like difficulty easy, difficulty easy, or like none. Or yeah, I guess easy. Maybe this one's like medium. But the other thing about this is these steer you toward a certain thing. As weekly challenges? No, I was just thinking these would be like, just imagine there's like an inventory of challenges. So you've got a bunch of buttons you can press, and this is challenge 1, and this is challenge 2, and this is challenge 3. And you click one of these, so you select this one, and now it says like, okay, here's what this thing has, you know, modifier number 1, modifier number 2, and then there's a start button. And you press that, and you're like, okay, I'm on challenge number 2 now, something like that. And not even for achievements. This would be like well, I guess there could be achievements associated with them, but it would be like a completionist thing. So yeah, I'll need to think about that some more. Hey, KG. Sorry for non-related question. How long did it take you to use to HRM? Small delay when typing is messing with my brain. Oh, I don't like home row mods, so I stopped using them. I use one-shot mods instead. So for me, if I want to press Command A, I can press this, which is my combo for command, and then just at my leisure press A, and I've pressed Command A. And now when I press A again, it's off the command key, so I just typed an A. So that way there's no timing aspect to it. I can enable command. So like same thing, if I have all this selected, I can press Command Shift, and then again at my leisure just press L, and I've split this into all different lines. Now I can type A on all the lines. So I really like one-shot mods. I did not like home row mods. So is this more interesting than an ascension ladder? What are the pros and cons? This is pretty hard to analyze. What are the pros and cons of this? I think a con is that you have, maybe it's not a con, maybe it's just neutral. You have more choice as a player. I'm not sure if this is good or bad. It's true, you have more choice. You can't, you're not like, the 10% income isn't just there for every single one of these. It's only there for this one. So if you wanted that challenge, you'd go for that challenge. Then again, why don't we just have the sandbox mode be something separate on top of the Ascension style thing? Yeah, I think we could do that. Yeah, I think I'm leaning toward the Ascension style thing. So you slowly work your way up in level, and each one adds its own difficulty modifier. Increase difficulty. You have less time to. Is Steam even open? What is this doing open? You have less time to win. You have less time before you lose, I should say. If you combine them in an achievement, do +3 challenge, do +5 challenge. Yeah, if we do have the sandbox mode thing, we could do that. Just assume since it was 36 keys, never looked into one-shot mods, we'll try that out. Yeah, and by the way, combos I think help for that a lot. So for example, my command sequence is NEI. If I press them all at once, N+E+I, it types out a command. So that way I don't need to enter another layer to be able to type something like command A or command whatever, any random little thing that I need to do. And then I have a left-hand shortcut too, which is X and D. So I specifically picked things that rarely show up in English. Now, NEI doesn't really show up in English, but it's any order. So actually IEN does, like when you're typing friend. So I had to be careful not to type FR and then IEN as all one key and then D, or else it'll duplicate into FR, but that rarely happens. And then for anything like Alt that I want to press, I just enter another layer. So for example, I'm in my number layer now and I press the Alt key. Now I just let go and now Alt is held. So if I type, what would even prove this? I don't know, this key. Yeah, Alt U is an umlaut. Yeah. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? I said the Ascension thing. Yeah, I think the Ascension thing is what we're going to go with. Okay, so let's put this here. Difficulty progression. There will be an ascension system like Slay the Spire, where each level adds some small challenge on top of all prior levels. Kind of glove 80. Probably like to go smaller at some point. Yeah, that thing looked huge to me. I definitely think there's diminishing return on having more keys, especially if you're using a weird keyboard anyway. Like you have all these thumb keys here, which even 6 thumb keys looks nuts to me. But then it's like, why do you need all this other stuff? How did they expect you to use this keyboard? And I don't know the answer to that. I get that you can trim it down and use only the number of keys you want to use. So like from a layout perspective, it looks fine to me. But if I were on the corn, I'd only have what, these 15 keys and then like these 3 thumb keys, which are splayed out quite a lot. I mean, maybe that makes it comfortable, maybe not. I find the corn pretty comfortable though. Neither? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's actually a regex dictionary. You could use this if you want to try to find these sorts of things. So I could do something like this. I won't enter work. There we go. NEI dot star NEI there. Cool. So here are all the words that contain NEI all together. And yeah, there are a little bit more. Most common ones probably neither or neighbor. The rest of these, well, I don't think any of these are common, except for nay, I guess. Depends on how often you're talking about horses. But yeah, neither, neighbor. Oniric. It's kind of beefy. There's no way I'm going to use all those keys. Yeah, I had a Moonlander for a while. And I thought this was too big. And it had way too many keys. And before that, I had an Ergodox Easy. And my issue was I didn't feel like spending a ton of time learning how to use all these special features. Where's an example of this that is not like at an angle and has dark keys. Okay, here, this one. And now it's a tiny picture. All right, well, whatever. Anyway, it's pretty much the same as the Moonlander. It's just got some different thumb cluster, basically. And yeah, I was trying to use this like a regular keyboard. So I bound this to shift and this to control or something. And I was like, this is a mess. So the cord makes a lot of sense to me. And the small things I'd want to change, I kind of want it to be wireless. I have these cords going out the back, and you can't really see it on stream. It's just these, but it's all over my desk, and I don't like that. And then what else? Oh yeah, I'd like the LEDs to actually work. I didn't solder it correctly, so they only work on half of my keyboard. So I just have them turned off most of the time. But I really, really like the trail effect of typing. It's really cool when you're typing quickly and you see that. Yeah. Oh well. Okay, so we answered everything. There will be an ascension system like this. Okay, so rationale. We can probably pretty easily change this if we need to, since the underlying system is likely just a set of negative player abilities. And by not having random modifiers, the player doesn't need to familiarize themselves with the challenge every time. And curated sets of bundled modifiers are probably just feel like a side grade rather than an upgrade here. And a sandbox mode could accomplish the same thing. Yeah. You have a symbol layer? Yeah, I have the whole key map. And yeah. And by the way, please, one tiny pet peeve of mine, and I just have a command for it whenever anyone goes against it, is try not to segment messages in chat. Hey Miko, and hey Flair. But yeah, without a symbol layer, I think it'd be really hard to use any keyboard like this. Whoops, I thought that would. Keyboard, yeah, here. So you can see all my layers. Where's the definition? Here are all the layer name definitions, and then the layers themselves are all down here. So yeah, there's a symbol layer, there's a number layer, there's a function key layer, there's a navigation layer, and then there's some like less used stuff. Media keys, occasionally I'll like change the volume or pause and play. Hey Tyrant King, welcome in. I see you've been playing a lot of Hearthstone lately. We are working finally on some of the replayability stuff for Skeleseller. Hope things have been going well with you. I don't think the game has changed too much since you played, although I don't remember exactly when it was. But yeah, the general context is people do seem to be liking the demo, and they just want more of the game. And I had some plans for more of the game, but then that was it. Like the game would end at some point. So we're trying to come up with an infinitely replayable system. Whether or not people really play it 1,000 times or 2,000 times, I don't really care. I want them to be able to play at least 3-4 times and be like, okay, I got my money's worth out of the game. 5 up heavy 1 year and a half. Thank you for the resub. Lurking while I work, but I always find keyboard conversation interesting. Hope you've been well. Yeah, I have been well. Hope you have been too. I'm reading something in the author is quoting a person who mentions Jira and then has a little explanation in brackets. Made me think to myself, how beautiful must the world be through the eyes of someone who doesn't know about Jira. I only used Jira at one job, I think, and I don't remember it being super problematic. I think we just used it for like tasks tracking, but I think we used a lot of the Atlassian tools like Confluence. Oh, Sapphire, I don't think I've seen you before. Thanks for subbing. I have seen you before. Oh, but only during Jump Royale, so I probably never actually read your messages because they're all jump messages. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Perhaps a roguelike-esque progression, allow me to unlock new stuff per run. So the new stuff per run, I'm not so sure about. I'll tell you what the current plan is at least, because it's all pretty consolidated here. So for one, if the main game is 5 hours, this version of it, challenge mode, is going to be about 1 hour. So the runs won't last super long. It's going to be about providing some challenge. That's why it's called challenge mode. So it's not like the typical game where it's like turn your brain off. You can idle for 10 hours if you want to. Like this, you are going to be a little bit more active. And then progression is going to be a lot of randomization in it. So the typical roguelike stuff. And that's it. That's the short story about this. I don't think you're going to unlock things in between runs, but I also haven't finished designing this. Yeah, do you unlock anything when you beat this mode? Do you get to keep anything for the next run? Things like that, I probably need to answer. Not really that problematic. It's more like I wish I never needed what it provides. But isn't it like task management? I think task management's a pretty basic thing. I envy your note-taking ability. You can always start. There's not too much to it, I feel. Keep forgetting to come back into that prime. Glad I remembered. I'm glad you remembered too. And I hope you're doing well, Vibe. Let us unlock even cosmetics. Some form of progression tied to emotional completion would be fire. I think even just kind of checking boxes on a list is good enough for some people. Like imagine some of the Mario games that are out there where it's like collect 3 of these big coins and then you just see that you're a completionist now. Now, granted, a lot of those Mario games also unlock like a super level at the end, but dev time and dev resources are in very tight supply right now. So one of the people who was working on the game just got another job and now has been working on the game for a while. And we're kind of nearing the finish line. So I want to get something that works for a V1 of the game. And then if that works and if money is rolling in, then we can always do more. But I think like cosmetics are going to be pretty tough to do. There's just not a lot of time and there's, yeah. No, Flair, it's fine. And I'm totally fine to engage on the bitterness too. I guess I don't see a problem with task management as a whole. And I don't know enough about Jira since it's been like a decade since I've used it, I think. All right, what else do we have here? I think I pretty much just wrote it all down, right? Yeah, I don't know what all the modifiers are. We need to figure out what those are. I probably need to write that down as a question. What are at least 5 difficulty modifiers for our ascension system? What do we call the ascension system? Maybe we call it the corporate ladder. We can't really do that. It's not really a corporation, but it would be funny. Okay. Next up, is every build viable? So I think we've answered these. That's pretty good. Let's answer this stuff now. All anyone cares about is marking the task is done. It is fun to mark tasks as done, but the tracking and the burn down rate, that stuff's also potentially useful. We just had to give out buildings in a random order and you get the warehouse first. How do we make it so that you're happy about that? Could be we give you interest based on items in the warehouse. I think I wrote that down, didn't I? Where's that? I did not. We could give interest on items in the warehouse. E.g. every like 15 seconds that an item is in the warehouse, it generates like 5% gold of its value as gold immediately. One way of addressing this is to give out any other buildings by default. Yes, I think we already kind of talked about this. Hey, Kark, favorite part of reassigning the task to someone else? Oh, is reassigning the task to someone else to test? Yeah, delegation is also, I don't know. I think task management as a whole is not so bad. I think anything though can be annoying if you do it in large enough doses. So if you were just coding for like 20 hours a day, you'd probably get sick of coding. If you were doing task management for an hour a day, you'd probably get sick of that. So is every build viable is a playtest question. I don't think we need to answer this exactly. We just need balance knobs that we can tweak. Give out any other buildings by default. Then that we talked about too. Yeah, so I don't think there's too much to do proactively here. We just need to pay attention to playtesting. CEO, CIO, VP of communication. I don't want to lean too hard in the business aspect, but I do want to come up with a cutesy way of doing this. Franchise master. When do I expect it to come to playtest? So the last thing that I added to the game, I still haven't even finished to get in the hands of playtesters, but it was the treasure system, and this I'm very happy with. So the way this works is you will unlock the treasure room, which will cost some amount of money. I don't know how much, and then you'll buy treasure chests, and a treasure chest has a. Oh, hang on, let me start this again. Let me do that exact same thing, but this time without like 100 workers walking around. Okay, so a treasure chest will have a timer above it, and after this amount of time, it'll just open itself. And inside it, you can see there's a mushroom right now, and there's one mushroom. So what you do then to open this is I'm gonna cheat my way through this. You generate keys by dropping weapons into this key grinder, and then they'll form keys. And then each key has a property. So this one is +1 multiplier. So now we get 2 items, which is 2 times 1. This is +1 quantity. So now we get 4 items because it's 2 times 2. This one is plus another kind of item. So we drag this over and, oh, I don't have another adventure. So that did nothing. And then this is a skeleton key. It just immediately opens a chest. So now we're going to get 9 of each kind of item out of this. So if I open this up, it spews out 27 items, and we can use these to power up our adventurers. So like this took about 2.5 weeks, and I haven't finished it up. So it's not in the hands of playtesters yet. So then once we're done with this, challenge mode is probably going to take at least a month, I would guess. And then we have a bunch of other things to do. So yeah, the work never ends. Hey, Space Cadet. If you want to join as a playtester, by the way, feel free to send me a DM on Discord and join the Skeleseller Discord. Probably less than my 99,999 gold. Yes. Yes, I think we're done with that. I think we can move on to the next question here. Next question being, how many bosses will be in challenge mode? This is another one of those things I don't think we really have to answer this. It's however many makes sense. So we'll figure it out as we go. Yeah. Do the runs actually feel all that different from one another? Are you ever actually incentivized to build the tavern if you can just manually move everything? Feel like there need to be random things that the game decides so that the random choices you're given increase or decrease in desirability. So for the tavern, maybe there's an inherent modifier like 2x item drops, which makes item stacking and workers much more desirable. Yeah. You can unlock some special characters or something per run, adventurers and workers, etc. If you mean new stuff, I think that would be tough to do. Like each adventure takes maybe like 3 or 4 full days to code because there are just a lot of abilities. But if you mean like the next run, you could start with the archer and the warrior instead of just starting with one. That's possible. And I'm not sure how we want to do that. And I haven't talked about that. But maybe that's something we can talk about. Let me write this down. Where'd the question go? Yeah, do you unlock anything? Do you get to keep anything for the next run? There could be some equivalent to Niao's Blessing where you start the run with a perk. Maybe even a special perk. 2 adventurers. I don't know. Yeah, so okay, we're not going to answer that. What's this next one? Okay, so do the runs feel all that different from one another? You know what I think we need to do? I think we need to write like playtester questions. So these are questions that we can probably only answer through playtesting. So like this, for example. Yeah. Okay, next up. Are you making too many perk decisions? Most roguelikes don't have you making a choice every 30 seconds. Maybe we just lump together the more impactful ones. Did I ever actually explain how you even get these things? I was saying you just spend gold. Then what's the totality of what you're spending gold on? What is everything that you can spend gold on? We said perks, buildings, adventurers. Is there anything else? Is there anything else even in the main game? Upgrading locations? Upgrading the portal? Hiring adventurers? I said that. Yeah, hiring adventurers. Yeah, there's nothing else you even spend your money on in the regular game. It's literally just those things. I guess building upgrades. Those are going to probably be considered perks. Oh, and treasure chests? I think that's it. That traveling vendor idea, selling like keys or treasure chests, could be interesting. Yeah, or just costumes or something for your main adventures. Not sure dev time for that, but I'd love to have a banana or some funny guy as, say, an archer. Anything that gets me emotionally invested in a character save. Yeah, yeah. So I'll peel back the curtain a bit so you can see what goes into the adventures at least. So if I do, where is it? Adventures. Here we go. Okay, so each adventurer is 12 frames of just walking around town. And then in battle, it's another, I don't even need to do that anymore. It's another upwards of like 16, but typically it's 12. So we need to draw something like 24 to 28 different sprites, which I can't do. I'm not an artist. And then we need to add them into the game and have some way of you choosing them and seeing them. And there's got to be UI for that. So I don't see that happening for V1. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. And if I had infinite dev time, there are a lot of things I'd probably do. But yeah, we got to be careful about the cost for these things. That's why I'm hoping this mode for replayability is effective, because if it is, there's a lot of stuff we could add to the game that then can just be on top of all of this. Also, something else I got to write down, which I don't know if I have here already, is save file stuff, gameplay mode, metrics, figure out how we'll expose multiple save files. So save stuff. We need the game version to be in the save version or in the run history so that we know how valid a particular achievement is. E.g., if we launch with only 5 ascension levels, then maybe level 5 is the ultimate challenge. But in the future, level 5 may represent a little baby challenge. Yeah. What's your stance on AI? I think you'll have to be more specific than that. I don't have any like problem with AI or AI coding or AI artwork or anything like that. I think it comes down to more like, are you passing off something as yours that's not yours? Are you, I don't know, cutting corners? Like, should students use it for tests? I don't think so. So yeah, I think you'd have to be more specific. I was using this AI spritter that's pretty good. Takes a 2D concept to make sprites for you. Oh, like using AI to make artwork for the game. I think if AI could make artwork that looks exactly in the exact same style, like there's no touch-ups needed, I would probably highly consider it. From what I've seen of tools that are out there, it produces things that are maybe kind of similar, but they've got a lot of artifacts, or the animation looks wonky. Since I don't have the skill to fix that stuff, and since the artist working on the game, I don't want to overload him with tasks, I just haven't, I've just relied on him so far for that. Basically working on exactly that. Yeah, I saw someone else's prototype, almost certainly not your company's, but I saw someone else's prototype and it looked so shoddy. There was some like fighting game example and weird little artifacts would appear in the middle of an animation, and like some characters didn't look like they were drawn in consistent styles with one another. But at this point, I will say this. So at this point, 100% of the artwork is human made. So at this point, I'd want to keep that so that we could just still claim that 100% of the artwork is human made. Yeah, I don't think anything was made by AI there. I'm trying to think. There might have been like the only thing I could possibly think of would be something like this, like a horizontal rule, but even that I'm pretty sure Quickie Joe just drew himself. I'm nearly positive he did. But there could be something along those lines where it's like, okay, I don't care about a divider and a UI somewhere. It's like a piddly amount, but I don't think there is any of that right now. Okay, so where do we leave off with the questions here? Oh yeah, what's everything you could spend gold on? This isn't a question that is difficult to answer. This is just for the sake of this. Are you making too many perk decisions? I guess in the base game, you're always comparing against all of the perks that you have. And typically you'll start the game like this, where you'll have the town perks and the garbage line perks. The treasure tab wouldn't be there. So you're kind of looking at maybe like 6 and 4, maybe 10 perks at any given time. So I guess if there was just like a buy perk button in the UI and you clicked it because you had enough money, then I don't think it'd be a problem. Yeah. Does well from 2D art file, the full 3D sprites. Yeah, and I think this is where I think gamers can be very critical. So for a project or a hobby project or something that's not yet released, I think people would be like, oh, it looks cool. I think once a game is out, if people start noticing like, oh man, there's like shoddy AI artwork or something. In fact, there was something recently. I looked at the Hearthstone subreddit. So if we go to this, I saw people complaining about an AI picture somewhere, and it was for Diablo Immortal. Yeah, this. They like marked up every piece of artwork here that looked like it was done poorly by AI. And I just pictured like, and look at how many upvotes this has, like 4,000. Like people really didn't like this. Granted, it's Blizzard, like they probably have the resources and they're trying to save whatever, 70% of the art budget by doing this with this particular image. And at a glance, it does look pretty good. So yeah, anyway, it's just, there's another sort of meta aspect to all of this, which is some of these changes could be good, some of them could be helpful, but exploring them takes time. And if they don't turn out to be helpful, then there goes like a half day of dev time on an already pretty tight schedule. We need a Costco in this game so you can buy in bulk at discounts. We need bulk potions. I mean, that's what item stacking is for. You get this upgrade, and then all of your items will start stacking in your warehouse. So now this is your Costco. Change it to Costco. So you're making too many perk decisions. This is, again, just a question for playtesters. Yeah. So I'll put that here. Okay, next. Did I write this down in dev tasks somewhere? Save stuff, UI. When choosing a perk, the game needs to pause and let you see enough information about the rest of the game, or let you defer choosing so that you can make an informed decision. Are perks even decisions? They are in challenge mode. So in challenge mode, imagine you had in the regular mode, you have something like shiny loot, worker speed, and whatever else, auto eat for the garbage slime. In challenge mode, you will be offered these as an or choice. So you'll be offered like, do you want this or worker speed or auto eat? So when you spend money, you're going to spend, let's say 50 gold and then get these options. You pick one and then the cost rises. So now you spend 75 gold and get new options. And maybe some of them are repeated. It's the typical roguelike stuff. So if I just copy paste this and let's say this is replaced with something else, I don't know, X, and this is replaced with Y, and auto eat is still there again. So at that point, they'll still all be perks for you, but they might not synergize with whatever build you have. So maybe you were going for like, oh, I want to make tons of item sales. Then yeah, shiny loot would be good. But maybe you have a bottleneck with workers. It's another thing we got to figure out here. Do unique, I guess it's pretty much this. As another example, increasing item sales is probably always good, but then it should maybe be difficult to keep stores stocked, either because items aren't dropping fast enough or because you can't physically move that many items very quickly. You got a pretzel. Still, you would just sink gold to get them all, right? There isn't hundreds of perks. Yeah, but this is where we would balancing. So to be clear, this is a timed mode. So let's say you have 45 minutes. I'm making up time, but let's say you have 45 minutes. In 45 minutes, maybe you end up making, I'm again making up a number here. Maybe you make 50,000 gold in 45 minutes. So now what we say is, we allow you, or we make like 10 perks cost 50k gold. So you get 10 perks over the course of the run. So something like that happens where you're not picking everything. And while there weren't hundreds of perks, there are a decent number of them if you start considering certain things to be perks that weren't perks. So like upgrading a shop to have more displays. That's technically 4 perks per shop. So that's 12. Upgrading a warehouse could be another set of however many perks that was. 16, 15, so 15. So yeah, you have 27 perks right there. Then you have all these perks and each one is their own level. So we add another 4 plus 7, or sorry, 7 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. So what, 14? And so on and so forth. So we're already probably up to 70 or something. Not all of them are unique. And then that's without even having made a challenge mode. So now once we start coding this, we add in another unique like 30 perks. Maybe some of them are very impactful. And we're saying, oh, you can only get 20 of them by the end of the game. So it will, I think, feel like there's some amount of choice you have to make and trade-offs. Would we be able to upgrade the road to make people and skeletons move faster? So probably not, because there's already the upgrades for customers and workers. And by keeping them separate, we just give ourselves 2 different perks. Whereas if you upgraded the road, then it would upgrade both of them at once. Okay, so I think that's good. This was already decided. Although, I guess you have to find potions from somewhere. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So what if you don't find potions in your random loot? And thus can't use the extractor? What if you don't find weapons and can't use the weapon grinder? Maybe there's an upgrade if we detect that you're in this case. Maybe there's some upgrades you can just outright buy. Because yeah, I don't want you to I don't want you to get into a state where it's like, oh, I built the farm, I need potions, but literally all the different areas are only dropping armors and weapons. So like my building is useless until maybe I get to here, and then I got lucky and got like one potion to drop. We need a way to address that. Yeah, I think some wonky choices being thrown in. I think that's going to be something that happens. And I think adding a lot of these perks should be straightforward enough. I've got a bunch of ideas written down for some of these things. Some stuff to buy while also having choice to buy perks would be cool too. Yeah, adventurers, treasure chests, and buildings should work that way. So if at some point you're like, oh, I need another adventurer, you can buy one of those. And remember, all of this is like, it's just all on paper right now. So maybe we test this out and we're like, this worked perfectly, everything's amazing. And maybe we test it and we're like, ooh, this is this is rough. We need something else. So we can go back to the drawing board. And the other thing I mentioned is, if you consider Balatro to be like a truly infinitely replayable game, people are putting in like, 2,000 hours into it or something. I don't mind if Skeleseller is at like 50 hours when someone really is into it. I just want it to be more than 5 so that people feel like, okay, I spent my money and I got my money's worth out of it. So yeah, it'd be awesome if we got to people playing the game for like 2,000 hours being like, I just got to do one more run. Just one more run. I'm going to get it. Ultimate payout. But that doesn't have to happen. Okay, so yeah, what if you don't find this? So let's draft this one. So there are a few high-level things we can do. One is force it so that you get at least one of each item type by the second or third location. 2 is allow you to transmute items. Maybe there's an enchanter spell, changes everything in your warehouse. although that involves unlocking 2 more buildings. Or allow the extractor and weapon grinder to take in more than just potions and weapons. Maybe it's always, let me think about that. Or allow you to buy whatever it is that will fix this. A perk to make the extractor take different items. Or a perk to make a location drop potions instead of armors. Been like that with the bazaars of late. Yeah, I've heard good things about that game other than the monetization stuff that had happened. But I guess a lot of that got sorted out. I think auto battlers really took off, and those like inventory management auto battlers took off too. It's interesting to see evolution of games. What's the best option here, I wonder? So the problem is that if once things are random, you get the farm, and then you're like, oh, I got to plant seeds. You can't plant seeds, though, because you don't have potions. We could make it so this stuff automatically happens. Allow these machines to automatically operate at some base rate and improve them with potions. I'm already at 3 playthroughs of the demo. It's nice to hear this sort of thing, because this is what, who was it earlier? Spirited Away was saying they played through 5 times. And I think that's good, but I think that any game, even if it's not replayable, some people just like it enough to want to replay it. So I do think for the majority of people, I need to like dangle a carrot in front of them so that they want to replay it. Does it have electrolytes in it? No, although actually I'm not sure if those I have this like drink powder now that maybe has electrolytes. I kind of want to try it today. Item switcher. We make the jelly not only make gold, but also potions or weapons or armor. That's what I was talking about with transmuting items. I'm not sure if that's the best idea, only because imagine getting like some cloaks and then needing to put it into something and then needing to put that something into here and having to do that every time. I think it would be nice to have some other way of doing this. Like maybe just dragging armors into here would be fine. But then once you get the lever on this, it would automatically do that and it would just grind up all your items and the seeds and fish. What else could we do? Yeah, so I don't like transmuting because it's an extra step. Forcing you to get certain items out of this or allowing you to change the items at the source. But I guess transmuting doesn't have to be this way. It could be a setting on the portal that converts items as they come out. It could be that you can buy seeds for some amount of money. That's not too bad. We could just make them slightly more than what they cost via the items. Yeah, I think this is decent. So just like how you can click this and it says, do you want to purchase a treasure chest? We could have some button over here that says, like, do you want to purchase seeds for all the farm plots? Hey, Zuna. Welcome in. You could allow 1 pedestal in the warehouse or something to transmute an item passively over time. Like 1 minute, it changes to a new type. But that's still 2 steps. And that assumes you have the warehouse, which you might not have. You might have just unlocked the farm and now the warehouse costs you too much money. And then this feature is only needed when you got unlucky in the run anyway. I think just letting you buy this stuff is probably the most sensible thing. Then there's just a UI problem. So I like this. I like being able to buy seeds/keys. But I want the UI to be reasonable for that. For the farm, filling every... Oh, I guess it could be on the extractor. Be something on the extractor when you click it. You input how much gold to spend, and it tells you how many keys/fish/seeds you get out. Do you play games with that keyboard? No, I don't. But it's because of the games that I do play. I play the final. Well, I actually only play the finals right now. The finals, it's just hard to play an FPS. First of all, I'm not even on a QWERTY keyboard. This is Colmac. So my WASD is actually Wars, and then one to the side is first. So to get WASD is this weird shape that it's like an L shape almost. So yeah, I just use a QWERTY keyboard for that. Is there anything else? The second best thing that I liked was this. Allow these machines to operate automatically at some base rate. But the problem is that base rate probably wouldn't be good enough for you. Although maybe it's something you get with a perk when you realize you're not getting potions. I kind of like that idea. Kind of like the idea of the base rate being changed. And then you would invest in that perk some more. It couldn't be as good as using potions / weapons, though. Or else you wouldn't use your potions and weapons on this stuff. Would you release the game design document, or did you release from previous projects? Looking for good examples. I've got some notes that I took on how I like to make game design documents, if you want me to share that with you. They're these notes. But I generally don't, I don't plan on releasing this document. Although I've made it all on stream, so I guess if you wanted, you could just watch the last 2 streams and you could see what this contains. But I've written all these notes that are publicly available that if you want to read through, I think would help. And this one in particular is probably what you want to see, designing a brand new game. So like my process now is pretty much the same for a lot of this, which is I make a design tab in the doc, I make a scratch tab in the doc, and the scratch tab is where I just jot down my brain spew. And then I try to consolidate any good things back into the design tab somewhere. So right now we're just going through a list of all the questions that I've come up with as we were designing this. And we're trying to answer every single one of them. And we're on this one still. And I'm still not sure what I want to do. Okay, what about this one? If we change the extractor or grinder to allow for a different kind of item, that could work. We could even let the player decide. Although maybe you can only set it once. At that point, I don't think it's really worth it. Yeah, those notes are for like everything I take notes on. So basically, if you see me open up Obsidian on stream, chances are you have access to that same note. So like a lot of the most recent ones are all the Godot things. So I have quite a lot of notes in here. C# stuff with Godot and tons of notes, exporting builds, GD script stuff that I learned. These are all like huge too. It's not to say they're all helpful, but it's at least stuff I felt was worth writing down. Do you have that on Twitter? The notes? No, I don't. I don't really use Twitter or Blue Sky or anything. I don't really like social media. Twitch is an exception. YouTube's an exception. But other than that, I'm not really on anything. The Hearthstone thing is because I was looking up patch notes recently, and I found a bunch of typos in the patch notes, and I'm like, are people talking about this? I don't even play Hearthstone. Oh yeah, you probably found me on Twitter. I just don't use it. I have a Twitter account. I think the last time I tweeted was to say that I'm not on Twitter anymore. Oh no, I copy pasted some things from there. But yeah, if you take a look at my tweeting history, it was November, February, June. So in the last almost a year, it's been 4 tweets. And 2 were ones I just made for Blue Sky. And even on Blue Sky, I've just stopped making posts. What's this? Yeah, I got 3 follows. Neat. Yeah. Hey, Dogesh2. Welcome back. You're here for the maybe thrilling conclusion of all the design stuff. We're trying to solve a problem right now, which is not apparent exactly how I want to solve it. You have a farm in the game, and in challenge mode, you might only have the farm, but you might not be getting potions. So if you don't get potions, you can't fill this extractor, which means you can't plant seeds, which means the farm is useless. So how do we allow you to still get seeds or still fill the extractor? And I wrote down some ideas, but I'm not really happy with any of them so far. Yeah, the buying seeds could be there. I still think this is probably what's best. We have some dialogue that pops up that just lets you buy these. Because the way that this works from a game perspective is there is some accumulator value in the extractor, and then there's some like value per seed or fish or key. So let's say a key I think is like 50 gold. So what you need to do is you need to bring 50 gold worth of weapons to the key grinder, and it'll give you one key. So what we could say is, well, if you want it immediately, it costs you 90 gold for one key with just straight up money. So it's not a good deal, but you at least have a way of accomplishing it. My timing is impeccable. Might be a way to get Skeleseller some more wish list. Yeah, it might be. Man, I've been all over the place with marketing. Again, this is one of those problems with having just so few resources to do this stuff. It's like time I'm spending developing is time I'm not spending marketing, and vice versa. So what I've been doing in the last few weeks is I had a marketing goal every week, and generally it was like reach out to 15 YouTubers. And in the last few weeks, I've reached out to I think 50 people, and I only heard back from maybe like 5, and no one actually said, yeah, I'll cover it. Although a couple of people said maybe. But as a result, if you look at videos in the last week, there has been one new person playing the game. I didn't even reach out to this person, so she just decided to play herself. And that's it. All the other videos are mine. So yeah, unfortunately, I have not had a lot of traction there. And it's like, okay, that takes me a few hours. I've got to finish the design, the coding, etc. This is why I said the thing about cosmetics. It's like, if I didn't have 400 tasks to do right now, I'd be like, yeah, cosmetics. Let's figure out how we can make that work. We're not in that case. So yeah, this seems like the simplest from a player perspective. We'd have to code this. I don't think coding would be too bad. I just think we need to expose this in the game somehow, because this is not in the base game. There's no concept of you not getting potions in the base game. You will get potions. The other thing we could do is this, just force it so you get at least one of each item type. Honestly, I think this is the most elegant solution in that it is dead simple and the player doesn't need to know anything special. So I think that's what we'll go with. So I think I'll write that down. And that way you can at least get something there. Yeah. So where did I write down about locations? Here it is. Loot should be randomized. The one caveat is that you need potions for the extractor and weapons for the weapon grinder. So we should make sure that within the first like 2 to 3 locations that you get those, that you get at least one item of those types. Is that your own start page? Yeah, this is a tool I made called Home Pagerizer. And the tool is public as well. So if you want, you can go to that site. Oh, hey, thanks, Toulouse. So you can go to this site right here, try it for yourself. And yeah, you can click this and type something like Google and type, google.com here. And it'll be on your homepage. You can just click download if you want. And if you want to add a keyboard shortcut to it for G, it'll get highlighted. You can change the colors and stuff. I'm going to make this look super ugly right now. So something like this. Let's go with a darker, yeah. And change the hover color too, I suppose. There, it's super ugly. Yeah, and add more links and stuff. So I've been using something like this for so many years now, and I think it's great. So like when I want to go to my design document, I open a new tab and type G. Whoops, I didn't even type G right there. I type G, I'm in the design document. I file a new issue on GitHub, I do that. I open up my journal, I type J. No, it's just taking a while to load. Yeah. So that way I don't have to type in the URL bar. I don't need to go through bookmarks. Okay, so cool. So that's our answer for that for right now. As I was talking about that though, I think there could be another potential thing here. What if we allowed you to generate items? It wasn't even transmuting. It was just like an item catch-all thing. Could be a special shop or a special purchase that automatically produces an item you want. Maybe it's the item duplicator. Although even then, you would need a potion to start with. Yeah, sure, you know. Yeah, I tend to have either commands or notes for pretty much everything that you think someone might ask about. So yeah, feel free to ask. It's typically pretty easy for me to answer. Blacksmithing. Like I said, I think so. Blacksmithing is technically transmuting items in the form of crafting. So you take like inputs X and Y and turn them into output Z. And Z, I guess, would be a weapon. So it's still, I wouldn't want there to be multiple steps for that. Although we're still going to potentially have problems there. Like let's say we randomly roll loot and this place is dropping no potions, or maybe, okay, let's say this place is dropping a potion and every other place on the map is dropping just armors. So now the only place you can get potions from is here. You might be like, okay, well, I have the farm, but I'm not really getting a lot from this. We'll leave that to playtesters, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question because we still have a lot to get through. Is it worth introducing wallets for customers? Like they only have X gold to spend and then leave the town. May make you decide to get higher item prices versus more items versus garbage line perks. So let's say we did this, and let's say customers start with a wallet size of like 15. That means they could buy a few items and then they'd leave your town and they'd come back with a full wallet again. So if you ever sell something for, let's say, 50, the customers couldn't afford it. So it would be another thing you'd have to kind of keep in check. I think it's too much complexity, given that the base game doesn't have it. I'll write it down as an idea, but I'm not. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll write it down as an idea. Adding wallets to customers so that they can only afford so much. And it gives you something else to want to upgrade. I don't think I like this because the base game doesn't do it. So we would need to explain it. And there's probably already enough complexity. So if we did want to encourage, let's say, lots of small sales, we could do this in a different way. Yeah, in fact, you know what? Maybe I'll just write this down as something I don't want. Yeah. Okay. Also, if we want to accomplish this in an even easier way, we could just add perks like each item sale is worth 1G more. This encourages selling lots of cheap items. Or items, hang on one sec, my wife's calling and she knows that I'm streaming. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. She didn't realize I was streaming. I always say that. I'm like, oh, my wife's calling and she knows that I'm streaming, so it must be an emergency or something. And then she's always like, hi, how's it going? I'm like, hey, I'm streaming. All right, items worth more than X are worth 30% more. This encourages selling a few expensive items. This is assuming you can even get the expensive items. I guess there's no real way for us to accomplish that in the game right now. Huh, I never thought about that. If every location is just rolling 3 different types of items. All right, well, we'll see how this pans out. Like I said, lots of variables between now and when we can actually figure out if this is working. So what are you doing as a player? Are you still expected to manage crops, stock items, etc.? I think this is also a playtesting thing. I think it's the same stuff as the base game. And I think that's fine. You can stock items. You can help out with crops. You would be managing where your adventures are, and your decisions now would themselves probably cost you some amount of time, which I don't think we're going to penalize you and be like, you have to decide this while the game is running, we could pause the game while you're looking through perks. But I think they're still it's gonna feel like you have enough to do. I hope. Yeah. We probably should also give you auto battling by default. I don't think it's fun to click a repeat button over and over. In fact, I'll write that down. Although this is, well, it's dead simple to code. Design free stuff. Innate perks. You should be given auto battle by default. Rationale. It only exists as a perk to teach people about perks and about starting battles. Once you know how to play, it's the most obvious need in the game so that you don't have to keep clicking buttons. Right? I'm trying to think, is it fun if you didn't start with it and you're clicking repeat? It's like you're micromanaging a lot of different things. The micromanagement isn't fun. It's just literally making you click a button all the time. I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm happy with what we have right there. All right, so next, how do we reconcile manual purchases with random ones? Treasure chests are 150 gold, but maybe a perk grants them 2. This is on a perk by perk basis. So maybe you can't get treasure chests through perks. Or maybe you can, but only every so often. Yeah. Clicking on the farm is a pain at higher levels, even with 5 food per click. Yeah. Your workers do harvest crops, by the way. If they don't have anything else that they're doing, they will come over here and harvest this stuff. And I do want to add a perk for the base game that says, like, crops will just magically harvest themselves if enough time passes without you clicking them. But yeah, we haven't done that yet. Yeah. So treasure chests. Let's write that down for specific ideas. Treasure chests are purchased with 1 key of quantity applied by default. Fill all treasure stands with new chests. Auto spawn keys every so often. Auto spawn chests every so often. Maybe we could even tie that to battles or something. I think that's fine for now. All right, what else? What other roguelike systems do we need? Veto, banning, re-rolling choices, maybe bank a choice for later. Banning a choice? I don't know what veto is supposed to even mean here. I guess it's re-rolling one choice. So I think the main ones that I might want are to ban a choice and to re-roll. I think re-rolling is maybe the one worth doing. Enough re-rolls is essentially the same as a ban. Oh, not really. Would it make sense to give you... Yeah, I'll just write it in the design. We can always figure it out later. Where's the meta option? Meta. You get 1 more perk option each time. You can re-roll, get sludge. Yeah, it's already written. All right, then that's that. I don't care about more than that. All right, next. What are at least 5 difficulty modifiers for our ascension system? What do we call the ascension system? Okay, we're going to start with that second question first because I like this question. Okay, so what's happening here? You're testing out business ideas, right? That's what we said. Is that what we said? What do we say? Lore. After you beat the main game, you have a steady stock of antidotes and you've accomplished your goal. Now you want to expand Skeleton to other regions, but you need a surefire way of franchising. And I wrote essentially, I don't know exactly what this is going to be. You decide to experiment with different business ideas under different conditions to see if you can rapidly prove your business model. The goal is to fail fast, hence the time limit. So to go up in level, what would it mean for you to make a business with new constraints? Is there some equivalent to that in real life? Not really. You wouldn't want to hamper yourself in real life by adding constraints. Yeah. I'm just gonna spitball some things here. Like the laws change. Not really laws though, right? They're gonna be things like you earn less money. Laws/rules change. Disability mode. Hey, Grizzly, risk assessment. It's so to be clear, what we're talking about here is like level 1 of whatever we call this system is going to say something like no special constraints. Level 2 of whatever we call the system might be something like perks cost 20% more. Level 3 might introduce something like bosses gain an extra ability. So these are variations. Maybe we call them, well, we could call them variations, but what do we call the system? The variation system? I don't think that's fun. Business constraints. I still think the corporate ladder is maybe the best thing, but this isn't, you're not a, maybe you have incorporated at this point. This feels like the best thing to me. If we say that you've incorporated your town, that's not even really how it works, right? Regulations, that's pretty good. So I think that's what we can call these things, but the system, I don't think would be called the regulation system. We could call it level 2 of the corporate ladder, or rung 2. Yeah, we can call it rungs. But then it doesn't really work because you're not climbing a corporate ladder. The corporate ladder in real life is like you're promoted to senior and principal and CEO and whatever. Now you have 3 companies and 5 companies, and but this is more like you're just kind of proving that you can do this thing. Maybe they're assessments. No, wait, no. That's, yeah, maybe they're tests. Tests or assessments of how well you can do in different circumstances. So there's legislature. But like this, for example, perks cost more. I mean, I guess a law could do that, but you're starting up a town in an area, so wouldn't you just be setting the rules yourself? I'm not sure. We can make it skeleton themed. We can call it the business rib cage. And you're climbing ribs. This is stupid. So I said I'm spitballing here. They're not all good ideas, people. Oh man, I don't know what we call this. Again, like what Slay called it was the, well, maybe they didn't officially call it this, but like the Ascension system. I think it's informally known as that. In fact, if I search for Slay the Spire Ascension system. Ascension. Ascension is a game mode that adds new challenge modifiers. Yeah, they just call it Ascension. And it kind of made sense because you're like climbing this spire throughout the game. You have a Skeleton King. You don't, though. You just decided to start this town yourself, and then you're deciding to expand. Maybe we play into the expansion stuff. Yeah, maybe we call it the expansion system. Expand. Expansion 1. No special constraints. This doesn't really look like it fits. Expansion 2. Perks cost 20% more. Yeah. We can still call them regulations. Maybe just constraints at that point. Or levels. Levels are probably fine. Yeah, level 1, no special constraints. Level 2, perks cost more. The expansion system. Town expansion system. What if we came up with a name that spelled out bone? I'm not gonna do that. On Bone 1. Skeleton King armies come in to enforce the law. Only once you had a good thing going. I think since we never show a Skeleton King or anything, I think it'd be tough. What would Bone be? The breadth of new expansions. I don't know. But actually the ONE of Bone being of new expansions could work. What would the B be? Building? Building of new expansions? Oh, that could work. The Bone system. This only works in English, by the way. So as soon as we put this in some other language, it's not going to make any sense anymore. But I kind of like this. The Bone system. Yeah, I kind of like this. Okay, I think I'm going to call it that. This is so stupid. Difficulty progression. Okay, so the Bone system. It's called the Bone system or building of new expansions. Each we could I have a stupid question. How many ribs do you have? 24 ribs. Yeah, we have 24 levels of this thing. And each one's another rib. Business optimization. Business could work as the B. Business optimizations via new expansions. That's actually pretty good. Except for I think you'd probably put the V in the acronym. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay. We're doing that. Good job, Sinestella. Alternative names. Let's put this one here and put this. Business optimizations via new expansions. It's called the Bone system. And yeah, each level is a rung or maybe a rib if we have 24. I don't mind calling them levels either. Oh, Galaxy, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Got to go up a point bracket. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, how many people are above you right now? Not too many. Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty good though. Business optimization via new expansions. The Bone system. Nice. Okay, so did we answer the question? What do we call it? Yeah, we answered it. So what's the next question now? What are at least 5 difficulty modifiers for our ascension system? I don't think I need to be too prescriptive about this. But I think the first one should probably feel like it's more difficult. Very welcome. Just saw I had it available and you're planning. Just motivated me to make some progress. Nice. What are your own projects, if you don't mind sharing? Slay the Spire. Okay, so I want to look this up again. And I want to see what was level 1 of this thing, just to get an idea. Elites spawn more often. There will be approximately 60% more elites spawn on the map. And then normal enemies are deadlier. They deal more damage with their attacks. Yeah, so each one of these is nice because it's like less than 10 words for every single one of these things. And by the way, the less than 10 words, actually, it's like less than 6 words for all of them because it's just this text that shows up. This does not show in the game as far as I know. So it just says elite spawn more often. So it's very understandable. And coding it, I guess, isn't that bad. And it's not that much of a jump. So I think we need to keep things pretty simple for this too. So I think we'll play this by ear. He wanted to build a course or at least tutorials around MLOPS. What is that? Machine learning operations. Ah, okay, that's what I would have guessed. Paradigm that aims to deploy and maintain machine learning models in production reliably and efficiently. It bridges the gap between machine learning development and production operations. Yeah, interesting. Okay, now let me read the rest of this. Tutorials around ML ops, but I always give up and procrastinate because I don't believe I can do it successfully. You know, I was in the same position 5 years ago. I had only ever officially done any sort of teaching thing, as I was kind of like a teacher's assistant back in college. But other than that, I hadn't done anything. And then I wanted to make a site where I would make courses. And now they're all free. I'm not selling any of these anymore. But I learned a lot in that process. And I think the first thing I learned for any sort of creative or like new endeavor is just do that thing a lot. And unfortunately for courses or tutorials, well, tutorials, it's a little easier than a course, I guess. But yeah, start with something that you think might make like a 5-minute video, let's say, and then plan an outline and record it. I guess like edit that thing, record it, edit it, publish it, and then check out the feedback. Obviously watch it yourself and see if it's good. And like through just kind of honing your craft, I think you'll realize that you are learning about how to do this better, and the feedback is filling in any gaps that you couldn't learn on your own. Remember how I'm building an idle with auto battling? I'm catching up. I'm almost done closing the main gameplay loop. Nice. Nice. What's your keyboard? It looks cool. It is a Korn keyboard. And it is cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, anyway, so now I look back at like the most recent thing I applied this to myself is I made some YouTube shorts for a little bit, and I don't watch shorts, so I didn't know what I should be doing. And I made one that was kind of bad. And then I kept making them and I got a lot better at it. I never continued after these 11, I guess. But yeah, it was an eye-opening process. So I wish you luck. I hope your planning goes well. Yes, I don't think we need to come up with these. I'll write this down over here. I don't think we need to come up with these right now. But I do want to write it for difficulty. After you beat a run, perhaps we add in difficulty modifiers for you. So increased difficulty, aka bone system. We add one additional constraint per level in the bone system. Your very first run could be tame, so you could adapt to the mode. This level 0 could even be the sandbox mode. After that, each constraint should be easy to understand and ideally not too crazy in terms of how much difficulty it adds, because they'll all get stacked on top of each other. Whoa, I just like lost hearing my left ear. Why does that happen every once in a while? It's going to return in like a few seconds. It's very rare for that to happen. I don't know what causes it, and now it's back. I have a YouTube channel I just sort of stopped 2 years ago. That's probably good experience for the tutorial stuff. Also, my other piece of advice, not that you asked for advice, but I'm going to spew advice anyway. I made my own site, like I said, that adamlearns.com. I think just posting on Udemy or posting on YouTube or something is a much better idea for getting started, because having a built-in audience lets you iterate on their feedback rather than making your own thing, having to market your own thing, and then iterating on feedback. And probably the people who found your own site are people who are closer afield to you and are less likely to give honest feedback anyway. Or like not sugar-coated feedback, I should say. It's usually honest still. And there's less to maintain. Another nice perk. Is there a problem with the player just not unlocking more buildings so that they thoroughly steer their perks? The treasure room early, then all its perks are overpowered. Do we force a building every so often? Yeah, let's put this as a playtester question. I wouldn't want this to be the case. I've seen other games do this where there are, let's say, 10 categories of things, So by just not picking 9 of those categories, you're only ever getting things that are synergistic. And I don't know, the only real way I think we could stop that is you either have so many options that, well, even then they'd still be synergistic, I guess. But yeah, pretty much you force people to unlock the other categories at some point. Maybe we force a building every so often. Maybe we just offer perks for things you don't have. That probably feels bad. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, good. Good. Because I'm giving it anyway. Yeah, I can't remember if there's anything else major that I learned. One of the things I wanted to make my, magnum opus, so to speak, would have been an organization course, because a lot of people have asked for this sort of thing. And I think there's this like sweet spot right before AI takes over our entire lives where this might have been successful. But I just continued working on Skeleseller, so I never got the time. But planning that thing was a behemoth. There were like 6 or 7 videos I'd probably have to make. Given that it's on organization, I need to make sure they're all very thoroughly organized so that I'm demonstrating what I'm espousing. There would have been a lot of work that goes into that. I only put in maybe a day's worth of work. So I probably had another like many weeks. But such is life. Do you unlock anything when you beat this mode? Do you get to keep anything for the next run? Could be the extra perks are thrown into the pool. Could be some equivalent to Niao's Blessing where you start the run with a perk, maybe in a special perk. I guess just starting with any amount of gold will let you make more decisions at the beginning. And I kind of think that's how this should go at the V1 that we make. Random perks cost gold. Okay, so how about this? You start with enough gold to get a perk or two. To get like 1 to 4 perks, maybe. To make 1 to 4 decisions. I don't even know if I like that though. Yeah, I don't think I like that. I don't want you to have to restart runs a bunch of times. Maybe based on how you did your last run, based on a combination of how you did in your last run and the difficulty of the current run, maybe we give you a certain amount of gold. Yeah, so maybe you start with gold based on how you did in your, or how many, based on your percent completion of the last run combined with its difficulty and the current run's difficulty. E.g., 100%ing level 15 will give you, I don't know, 500 gold on level 16. But 100%ing level 1 will only give you 50 gold or something like that. I don't know. I will just write down rationale. I'm fuzzy on this one. I want you to have some boost for doing well in a previous run, but I don't want you to like restart scrub and keep rolling for the best perks. Wait a second though. What happens if you don't have... Hold on. How do you get your first building? What did I say about that? I guess it doesn't have to be given to you for free. I really should have all the buildings written down. Let's go find it. Treasure room. There it is. So we should probably copy this over here in buildings. Buildings. Some buildings are given to you by default. Rationale for the shops. Rationale for the town hall and guild. The town hall doesn't do anything. And the guild is just a destination for items that you don't even get without the treasure room. So neither provides any benefit, any inherent benefit. Yeah. Okay, so wait, what was I saying? So yeah, you don't start with any of these. So what if you just choose not to build any of them? Can you even beat the game? I mean, probably not. I guess you'd have to get pretty lucky with perks or something. Yeah. Initializing from just players' army data and a requested level of the room, picks up the prefab, populates it, generates an enemy army out of defined suitable armies. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, it's a lot of fun once you close the loop on anything so that you can finally test it. I feel that way with the treasure system in this game. Just the amount of time I spent working on this thing, and it didn't exist even in idea before about a month ago. But like, yeah, now we have the treasure system. It works. You can put in keys. It can buff how many items you're getting out of this. Give me one of the glassy keys. There we go. Nice. And then when I finally open this, we get a ton of items. Yeehaw. How do you beat the regular game? You beat the regular game by beating the final boss. The challenge mode is going to be you need to get to a certain amount of money. Yeah. Man. Okay, where did I leave off with this? I think you should probably just start with more gold if you did well in your last run, and the gold can be used to purchase something to kickstart your run. I guess that gold technically counts toward your objective. I got to think about that. Especially proud of the fact that for once my references are defined as text. If I made a prefab for an enemy, I can just reconfigure any enemy to use that. Yeah, nice. And yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, so I don't know if I made this clear or if you were around when I did this stuff, but treasure chests have a certain amount of time and you can put in keys, and the keys modify all the properties of that chest. So here you see I'm going to get 2 different kinds of items and I'm going to get 8 of each. Each key can do a different thing. So like this increases the multiplier. This increases the number of items in it, number of item types. The skeleton key can do a little bit of everything. And then there's one that increases the quantity. So it's kind of like a build your own loot box sort of thing, which I think is a cool mechanic. So yeah, I'm happy with how that turned out. All right, if we speed this up, this should burn through all those weapons and unlock all the chests. What are they doing? Oh, I see. They need for the key slot to be free. Now, how many did we get out of that? Whoa, 32 items there and 40 items there. So let's open both of these. Nice. Golem's going to be powerful. I only know the demo that I've played. Yeah. And this wasn't in that. Sounds complicated. Down to build my own loot box. I think it's pretty straightforward. And that's one of the things we need to hear from playtesters. Hopefully it is straightforward. But like each key is only doing one special thing. And there are only 3 properties on a chest. So you're either increasing the top thing, the second thing, or the third thing. The second thing being drop multiplier and the third thing being quantity. What are we doing next? Yeah, I think we answered that. All right, next question is, what is the exhaustive list of planned perks and what does a sample run look like on paper? The more we have, the more fun I think the game will be, since people can discover synergies. If we get a rare one like Adventures Regenerate, do I have that written down? Yeah. Okay. So what's the question again? Battles play out 2x faster. It could be a fun combo. Imagine we get the treasure room but can't find weapons yet. Chests could still open themselves. Taking 10 minutes would take too long. Did I write balancing stuff down here? No. Okay, balance stuff. Consider that everything should play out at roughly 3x the speed. Crop growth, treasure chests opening. No, crop growth doesn't have to be, does it? No. Treasure chest should probably open like 3x faster, and keys shouldn't apply a full minute. Is there a correlation between the pedestal the chest is on and the one the key is on, or are all keys apply to all chests? I might not be understanding you, but you choose which key you want to put in and to which chest. So you're only putting a key into one chest in this case. So like if I open this up and I have a second chest here, I am choosing to unlock this one right now. So I open that and now it's openable. Oh wait, there's a bug there, isn't there? Oh, that's a bug. Why did that happen? Hang on a second. Oh no, oh god. Okay, that is a major bug. There are a bunch of chests under there. Because you can spawn this dialogue a bunch of times and then click buy a bunch of times. Yeah, that's a bug. It's a big bug. And they can't even get to that chest anymore. I have to open it and then it becomes usable. No, it doesn't. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Go write this down. Bug, click a treasure chest display multiple times without doing anything else. Then click buy a bunch of times. You'll get multiple chests. I wonder how I messed that up. It's probably something with the dialogue system not working how I thought it should. I kind of want to see what'll happen when these things hit 0. Probably I'll be able to open them. Well, I guess I gotta wait a long time. It's gonna be another 30 seconds. So I guess let's just let it run while I go answer another question. So what's the next question? This stuff. What's the decision tree? Do you feel like there's room for creative expression, excitement? Building number building could be helpful. Yeah, I'm glad that's not there. Okay, so I don't care about this stuff. I care about this. And now we're going to look at the game. So I can open all of these. Oh, it doesn't open. It just breaks. Oh, God. Oh, it makes sense that it would break now that I think about it. Oh, man. Okay, well, I'll have to look into that bug later. So exhaustive list of planned perks. I don't think that's important, but I think the sample run on paper thing is maybe important. So let's take a look at some of the ones we have already. Specific ideas. I'm just going to copy this into here. And let's get, I guess some of these are based on having specific buildings. All right, so I don't know, maybe we have that one. And maybe, I don't know, like plus 10% potion sales. And workers move faster. So let's say this is my first perk that I'm offered. What might I pick? If it's my very first one, to be honest, like this one's not that interesting and this one's not all that interesting, I'd probably pick this one. Okay, great. So now I'm offered some other things. Let's take that. And there's not a lot of generic things that I have written here. Building a building isn't a thing. Foraging. Yeah, unfortunately, I gotta think about more of this stuff. Maybe like more customers. Did I write down any perks that are already in the game? Yeah, all existing perks. But very few of them are applicable without a specific building, right? We got to think about more in that category. What are more perks we can come up with that don't rely on you having a specific building? We need a lot of them in this category so that there are interesting choices. Yeah. All right, well, whatever. Let's come up with a third one. Let's just say we had the garbage slime. So I guess one of the things we can get is like the garbage slime gets hungrier faster. Hunger, garbage slime gets hungry faster. And what's the last one? I don't know. Farm crops. Crop variety. You can now plant grapes. All right, so now what would I pick out of these? These are all good. Probably this one since it would let me level up. Okay, I can see this working. We definitely need to think about all the perks. Yeah. And I should go through my list of ideas. Look through my list of ideas that I have in the original game design document for things that didn't make sense then, but may make sense now. All right, what else was on here? Yeah, and then playtesting will make it clear if it's fun. Okay, so let's save this for a little bit from now. Why are there still so many things on this list? This is all I've been doing for hours. Save file. In the future, if we have some roguelike specific save options, do we care about migrations? How do we surface a regular mode and a challenge mode save file? I think I already have these written down in dev tasks. Yeah. And then what's that other question that I had there? If we have roguelike specific save options, do we care about migrations? I don't think that's really a question we have to answer right now. We just put in the game version. We figure it out later. So I'm just going to delete that. The problem is we know we're going to be updating the game. So let's say you've saved your game. If you click load right now, of course it's going to load and everything's going to be fine. But what happens if you're on like challenge mode level 1 or 3 or whatever, and we change what it means to be on level 3? Like maybe the objective, we said, oh, you know what, this is too easy. It was 5,000 gold. We bump it up to 15,000 gold. Should we invalidate your run? Should we just increase the objective and you lose because you didn't realize it was that high? Like, what do you do in that case? There's pretty much no good answer. No matter what, it's going to result in the player feeling that like something went wrong. Or you keep it the same and then it's like, well, the player didn't really beat level 3 at that point. So yeah, I'm not sure what we do in that case. We can try to minimize that by just playtesting the heck out of this. How long our run's? Probably about 45 minutes. So you're not losing like a ton of progress. I don't think you'd be super mad if you were like, oh, the game got updated, so there's new content, some things changed, and yeah, your run was canceled. Leaderboards per version. There's no leaderboard, so it's not like the leaderboard is gonna get reset or something. There's no leaderboard at all. The problem is more along the lines of like, imagine you're playing, I don't know, Pokemon or something like that, and then you load your game and you see something like, we deleted Charmander from the game. Like, what do you do in that case? You can't play with Charmander still. What if he was like your main Pokemon? And yeah, like I said, I think the best thing is to try to prevent this stuff from happening. But yeah, there might be some perk where we're just like, this just isn't worth it. Let's delete it. But you had that perk and now it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, I think one of the things I'll write down is we probably need a challenge mode version that's separate from the game version so that we can invalidate just the challenge mode save files. If it was a challenge run, then just tell the user to go back via Steam beta to the previous version if he wants to load that save. Interesting. I didn't know that was doable. I'll write that down. Thanks, Dragon Master. I don't think this is something I want to encourage, but I didn't know it was possible. So this is you're able to do this with any game? Like if I pulled up Skyrim, I can go back to any arbitrary version? And also, corollary, are there like 400 versions of Skyrim that I could load? It'd be kind of neat if you could do this with non-Steam games too. There's a version of Diablo 2 I'd like to try again, back before skill synergies existed. And it's rare for me to have a save mid-run. Oh, that's another good point. Yeah. Yeah, how many people who are actually playing this mode and enjoying it are going to leave a run partway through? Some people, for sure, but probably not everybody. How long is an Isaac run, by the way? Binding of Isaac, average length of winning run. Oh, that's not bad. Plays often finish in 25 to 30 minutes. Some take 40 to 50. Hey, Goose. Okay, because I was looking up a bunch of other roguelike games, and in general, all of them were in the 40 to 60 minute range. So Isaac is actually pretty short if it's 25 to 50. Also, if you lose a run in any game, it can be 0 minutes, right? You can lose pretty fast. But that's why I was wondering about winning runs. In fact, I wonder what Nuclear Throne is. Nuclear. I don't know. Let me type Nuclear Throne. 10 to 15 minutes. Is that right? Huh. I guess that's pretty fast. What about Enter the Gungeon? 40 minutes. Yeah, I feel like that's the sweet spot. Like 45 minutes. I think that's what we should aim for. The problem is oh no, that's not a problem. Never mind. Yeah, we have a time limit. You could still win faster. You just can't lose slower. Do this with any game, but not via the default Steam client. But if you specifically set each version as beta, play. Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. I'm going to delete this then. I don't think that's going to be applicable to this. And either way, I think I just want to invalidate the runs. Yeah. Note, not everyone will have an ongoing run since they shouldn't last. Since they only take like less than 45 minutes. Hey, so tie a challenge mode run to a version of the game and make the game backwards compatible with that version, at least in terms of rules. I don't think it's important to support backwards compatibility, though. And also, I think supporting it would be prohibitively difficult. Because some things will change in ways that are just not backwards compatible. And it's the kind of thing that then your like testing matrix increases by 1,000-fold. Either you cut it short. How long do you feel like your average run length is? Is it more like 40 minutes? Because like I said, it feels like the sweet spot here is about 45 minutes. So I think targeting 45 minutes is pretty good. And I don't have any idea how close to winning will you get every time. Hey, Brutarius. All is going pretty well. Thank you. I hope you're doing well too on this fine Wednesday. It's fine if you update the game. People won't be mad. They have to restart. Cool, new updated stuff. Yeah. Well, when I actually give them cool and updated stuff, they will, or they won't mind. But if I'm like, oh, I fixed a bug. By the way, I had to bump game versions as a result of this. And they're like, oh, we lost our runs then they won't be as happy. Whatever. That's a problem for future us. Where's the thing I just wrote about perks? Where did that go? Game design document. Where did I write that? Oh, here it is. Questions I had to bump. Yeah, sure. That's fine. right, so how many more of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just 9 more questions. All right, how about this? Let's spend another hour. I am going to need to take a break, though. It's 3:06. Yeah, I'll take a small break, and then we'll answer the rest of these things. About 45 minutes. Okay, yeah, sounds good. All right, is it jump time? It's jump time. All right, for those who haven't seen this, just type join in Twitch chat. No need for an exclamation mark. And then J and a number. Typically want to keep this pretty close to 0. So like -10, 10, 0. And try to jump to the top. Have fun. See you soon. Couldn't have a laugh at the end. It was a very close match. A good job. And you each played only one game so far, too. Yeah, just so you know, if you want to get around the spam filter on Twitch, so let's say you want to jump up straight twice, you type J0 and like J0A or something. You can just add whatever garbage you want to the end. And it'll work totally fine. You could also use R and L. So like R5 is the same as J5, and L5 is the same as J-5. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. Close the game. We're going to not look at this anymore. And I am going to keep looking at these questions, which we're going to hopefully answer. So if we just have a money objective to win, how do we make it look satisfying when you hit that goal? Maybe show a meter on screen indicating that you're close. Building up something physical. I don't even think we worry about this for right now. I don't think we worry about this for now. We need to show the objective on screen. And it can start flashing or something when you get close. Actually, we need to do more than show the objective on screen. We need to show you what your cumulative amount of money is, because you don't know what that is. let's write that in dev tasks. UI need to show total cumulative money amount and the objective on the screen near a timer that will count down. Yeah. Okay, what next? Yeah, next. All right, we do just have a money objective. How do we make it satisfying? We already answered that. Should the game modify itself in negative ways as you play? Angle will give further steer your decision making. I think this will be clear from playtesting. Does it make sense for this to be the sandbox mode? If doing whatever the Ascension equivalent is, maybe you can't customize it. Otherwise, you can pick any modifiers. I'm just going to delete that. I think we already have this at the bottom anyway. Yeah. Are adventurer stats or cooldowns randomized to any extent? I'm a bit concerned there'll be a best adventurer to start with, then a second best, etc. Oh, man. Random skills. You can't just have random skills. I guess their unlocked skills are randomized. So you might get a rogue with crit this match. But the power level of the skills, they're all pretty different. Yeah, they're all pretty different. Granting a skill point, by the way, is pretty nice. So I should write that down if I haven't already. Extra skill point, I already have it. All right, I think I'm just gonna say no to this stuff. I think we can randomize stats easily enough, but randomizing skills seems like a mistake because they're all made as synergy bundles. Mental swiftness would have to be changed to modify all other active skills. It might be busted if that happens. Although it's kind of fun to have broken builds, but still, well, it's fun to have broken good builds. It's not fun to have broken bad builds. I think the more important thing is if we randomize this stuff and it's bad, then you would need a way to fix it. I'm just concerned you wouldn't have that. And I gave a bunch of examples about this earlier, but let's look at, I don't know, like this character. Like we have poisonous skin as an innate ability. So then as our upgraded ability, we have venomous bite, which uses the stats from poisonous skin, which you can then upgrade right here. So there are a few different ways you can modify this, but it required you to have like those 3 skills for them to be synergistic. And all of that's on a zombie anyway, so you needed summon zombie for any of that to work. So you technically need all 4 of those skills. So if we're randomizing skills, we need to make sure that if you got any one of those, you're getting all 4 of them. And then isn't this character just basically a witch doctor at that point? The only thing they're missing then is bite, which they'd also pretty much need because otherwise zombies wouldn't do anything. So yeah, I don't think it makes sense to randomize. Stats. Should we randomize stats though? I think you'd have to analyze the stats. Even randomizing stats probably isn't a good idea. You wouldn't have any idea of what the stats should be. And you can't impact them individually anyway. Okay. What do you do about progression related perks if you're not offered them all the time? What if you aren't making enough money from potions, but haven't been offered the ability to unlock the next area? So we said unlocking the next area is always going to be purchasable. Do I have that written down? Things you can spend gold on. Hiring adventurers, building buildings, unlocking locations, buying a treasure chest, and getting a perk. I'll just say perks. Is there anything else? Because I wrote this down somewhere else. Treasure chest. Yep, that was it. Okay. Why did I just say that right now? Because of whatever the next question is? Yeah, this. You're not making enough money. I've been offered the ability to lock the next one. So that's not a question. Doesn't apply. What if you don't get the warehouse so workers endlessly carry items that you can't sell? Oh, yeah. I guess you'll always have the shops. Yeah, so this isn't a question either. You start with one of each shop. That's another reason why I should probably write in the design that that was even done. Without, if you're able to find any weapon type, but you don't have the warehouse, then workers would wander around forever with items they could never take action with. I think duplicating things into perks is still fine. Yeah, I want to write that down somewhere. Innate perks? Gifted perks? I never wrote anything about perks themselves. Yeah, we should probably just make a perks section. Okay, so perks in general. There can be, what should I say? Like, I guess redundancy with perks. And in other purchases. Hold on a second. What was my example of this? Yeah. And other systems, e.g. the farm can level you up, but you could also have a perk with +1 level for the rogue. The rationale, I think it's interesting to have many ways to accomplish the same goal. Plus, perks cost you money. Okay, what's next? So, is there any way to get stuck in the progression? Is kind of what we said here. What if you never were offered the farm and the fishing pond or the treasure room? Did I write anything that stops that from happening? We may want to force one of those two choices early on, especially if it feels like leveling up is the only viable option. Yeah, so there are, what, 6 buildings? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 buildings, and 3 of them can increase your power, which means if you got the other 4, you'd be at level 1 the whole time. Is it like there could be a strategy where maybe that's good? Although, what would that strategy be? I guess you'd have a ton of workers. You'd have the enchanter. You'd have the garbage slime for selling things. I don't know. We figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, ask it as a playtester question. We can do any purchase decisions. What's the decision tree? Is there a problem with them just not unlocking buildings? Is there a problem with getting stuck? There are 7 buildings, only 3 of which increase your power. If you don't get any of those 3, then is your run still viable? You get a bunch of level 1 adventurers and you're just fighting in the starting zone. It's possible it could work. This is where the perks are really going to matter, so that you feel like there's a lot going on here. Other specific ideas, I guess we can write like shops. All existing perks or building upgrades. Shops getting more displays. Yeah, cool. So that's done. Is there any building that would be bad or even too good to unlock early on? Are there any adventures that can paralyze your run and make you want to start over? This is just a playtesting thing. And we already asked this here. Is there probably getting stuck? Similarly, is there an adventurer you hate to see at first? I guess you always have a choice. So it's like, is there a set of 3 adventurers you hate to see? What do some of the coding tasks look like? UI this, UI for this stuff, yeah. All right, let's write it all down. Fine. Definitely losing steam. I've been streaming for what? 6 hours already? Yeah. All right, let's write this stuff down. So what do we have? UI needs to let you poke around other UIs. Should pause the game or let you defer the choice. I have that written here. Cool. UI for choosing the specific challenge. We don't have that anymore. UI for showing, well, I guess we do kind of have that. Need the UI for the bone system in general. It should show which constraints are active, what level you're on, etc. Need to show perks in the game in some way. We should probably consolidate the perks into different categories, or maybe just throw them all in one UI without tabs. Yeah. Need metrics on runs. What do people pick? How far do they get? I have that written down, don't I? Track playtime, add metrics. Yeah. Then I could host some like basic service that'll let playtesters upload their JSON data to me. This isn't something I'd probably have regular players do. Also, I need a privacy policy if I do that. So I think it's just something I'll make for playtesters. Maybe only expose this for playtesters and just give them a button or a cheat that will upload their data. Then write a super quick server that takes this information in and dedupes by UUID in the save file. Let's not worry about that yet. All right, what's up next? What's the lore of this? Yep, delete all that. Player perception. Does this violate the marketing of the game at all? It's a cozy game for the first 5 hours. Then it gets less and less cozy over time. I think sandbox mode is helpful to keep it cozy, but I don't know what kind of replayability there would be with it. All right, so I had a thought on my lunch break, which is what if in the settings, there's a button that says unlock challenge mode. Clicking it pops up a confirmation saying normally you have to beat the game to get this, but this is where the roguelike elements come in. We still highly recommend playing the game, like beating the main game mode first before trying this. What's for lunch? I had a slice of pizza and some Nutella ice cream. Today's a sugar day. So I like this idea, and I haven't really seen games do this a whole lot, where there's some like post-game content, but you could just skip the game completely and get to that post-game content. Yeah, I'll write this in my document, but I don't know how I feel about that. Quit processed sugar makes that something. No, you're thinking the right thing. Where is that? Adam learns sugar. Yeah, this blog post is probably what you're thinking about. And it's not that I like cut it out completely. I just have designated sugar days in the week. And if it's not a sugar day, then I try not to have things that I sought out for their sugar content. Okay, so we got done with all of those? Yeah, but still, okay, so that might address that question, but what about this one? Well, what about kind of both of these, I guess? You go to Steam, you look at the Steam page, and you see on here roguelike, and you're like, oh, I like roguelike games. Then you download the game and you play it, and you're like, where's the roguelike stuff? And it's maybe you enjoy it, but it's not until you beat it that you finally unlock like the roguelike mode. I think we just worry about that later. I think we worry about this later. Maybe we modify the Steam description to explain. Yeah, I'll write that as a dev task here. Oh, wait, no, you know what? I think I filed it over here, roguelike. Yeah. Also, if we do add the roguelike tag, then we should probably clarify that the game becomes roguelike via its replayability, and that you can skip the main game if you really want. Just stopped eating candy. Do you miss it? Because I didn't want to cut stuff out completely. I've already cut out a bunch of stuff completely. And some of it I miss, but like whatever. I haven't had soda or caffeine in like 15 years now at this point. And every once in a while, I'm like, if I found out I were dying in like a month, would I have a Dr. Pepper again? Would I even like it? After that, not at all. Legit, not at all. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like I get strong cravings or anything. But every once in a while, it's sometimes like a flavor thing. Like I said, I cut out coffee too. And every once in a while, there's someone who's having like coffee ice cream around me. And I'm like, I used to like that. And I'd probably still like that. But I haven't had that now in a very long time. Okay, so I didn't finish writing this, did I? No, I finished writing that. There's some other thought that I had with this. Yeah, not sure. If I quit drinking beer yesterday, I'm about to ruin my streak. You could just not ruin the streak. I know, easier said than done. I think those habits are hard to break. Had 2 pieces of candy. Oh, well, then you're a liar. Tasted some new stuff from friends. Yeah, just a big liar. You need to ostracize those friends from your group. Okay, so ignoring this and this for now, and this will be through playtesting. So are any perks incompatible? Yeah, that's something we need to do at the end. Are all perks at least somewhat interesting? Kind of same thing. Achievements. I don't think we're even going to try to figure this out. Yeah, like what achievements would you like to see? Yeah, there. I stopped caffeine last year. Really annoying to find non-caffeinated, low-sugar drink options when you're out somewhere. Basically water. Yeah, it's one of those other ones. Yeah, I just tend to have water pretty much everywhere I go now, which I think is a good thing. But how do you feel after cutting out caffeine? Because I think the biggest thing for me that was difficult is if I'm tired, the only solution now is to take a nap. That's it. There's no other thing I can do. I see a Presley. Yeah, I think that's good. And that's kind of what happened with me. Like I said, I cut out soda first because I felt like it was just not a good thing to keep up. Also, it's kind of ridiculous. If you look like sugar in a can of Coke, it's like 40 something. Yeah, it's basically 40 grams, 39 grams. That's nuts. 10 teaspoons. It's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. All right, what else do I have here? Should we still have sandbox mode? I don't know about this. Or designed compelling enough for a V1? I think the answer is yes. I think the bigger question is this fun? So, yeah, can we simplify anything? Is this straightforward? This is definitely good to ask. Once I have a fresh brain, I'm in rotten brain right now. I've used all the brain power up. I want everything to be easy here. Is it really better than the sugar? Arguable. Prefer the sweetener. Yeah, I think they're just different. Your body treats sugar in a certain way and it treats aspartame differently, but like, well, I don't know. There's probably some other effects that I'm just not aware of. It's great. My sleep habit is a lot better. When I wake up, I'm up. It's not like I don't talk to me until I've had my coffee anymore. Don't have midday crashes. Energy's consistent. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think if my lunch is bad for me, then I kind of crash in the afternoon. And then I think my streaming habits aren't that great. Like I took 3 breaks today, 2 like 2.5 minute breaks, and then 1 lunch break. I should really be standing up and like walking around more, or at least stretching my legs. Even while I'm sitting here, I should just be like stretching my hamstrings out. Okay, so we've answered all the main questions. There are still some other things to do. I want to take another look at this. And I think tomorrow that's what we're going to do. We're going to finalize some of this stuff. I want to finish going through the questions and analyzing everything with a fine-toothed comb. Oh, also, I want to give Tim a shout out. He rated me 2 days ago or yesterday. I'm not sure which. No, it was 2 days ago. Yeah. And I did not give him a shout out. He is also a streamer. He does his own game dev. He does a lot of racing kind of games. And now I have shouted him out. So do check him out. He streams for like the 8 hours before me. So actually, if you're like, Adam doesn't start early enough, good time to watch Tim. Call it Tim time. And then Friday, I think what we can do is finish treasure. Maybe plan for challenge mode. Maybe work on music. Probably working on music is a dumb idea. But I never finished that one track. I wonder if my speakers make a buzzing sound when I do this. Let me click this and find out. There was a problem with this originally. Yes, they do. Yeah, that's a shame. It's only Fruity Loop Studio. And if I change this to this aggregate device, which doesn't even exist unless I click something, and anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I never finished the 4th town track. And I want to finish that music at some point. Well, that took a long time. I think we got pretty close to the end. Actually, I have an ending here, right? What does this sound like? Why is it so quiet? Huh, that's weird. Yeah, there must be some like speaker problem I got to figure out. I just got new speakers and anyway, yeah, whatever. I'll figure that out later. You're pretty much just starting your day at 3 p.m. while I'm about to go to sleep. You stay up pretty late. All right. So, biggest playtest question: are these changes sufficient for launch? Do people see themselves playing for a long time? I mean, I think this is now baked in to what I have. I think that's another playtest question we can add here, though. And maybe we should even write that, like, ask people these questions. Ask playtesters these questions. The runs feel different. So, like, how much of this do you enjoy and slash how much do you want to keep playing? That was the whole point of this feature. I feel like Europeans overall tend to culturally be more night owls. I never thought about this in terms of, in America, what have I seen more of? I think it's an age thing. I think younger people tend to go to bed later. Older people tend to go to bed earlier. Generally what I've seen. Yeah. Okay, I'm out of energy, and I think we made some amazing progress today. It's about 3:40, and I kind of wanted to go till 4 when I answered most of these questions. I think it worked out pretty well. So I'm gonna go find someone to raid. I am a mix of emotions. Just yeah. There's there's a lot of work ahead of us. I think it'll be good to work through, and I'm hoping I'm pretty sure that we're headed in the right direction, and it's just a question of time. I think that's pretty much it. All right, so let's leave you with. Sorry, I'm looking through my list here. Let's go raid someone new actually, because the people I wanted to raid have been online for a long enough time that they might be leaving soon. Tomorrow stream, yeah, there'll be a stream tomorrow morning, but probably not the afternoon. English. Okay, who are we not following? Who's got a low uptime? So far, nobody. Yeah, wow. Okay, this person. Let's go raid that person. Oh, all right. Yeah. Hope you all have a good day. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. Thank you for the support. I'm going to get going. Have a good one. See you later.